Hey, welcome back to the Ping Pong Flick Show. My name is Chris Wong. There is a giant bit of news coming out of RevengeOfTheFans.com. He just reported this out. He was originally from L Fanboy Podcast, apparently, and I've picked up on some of his articles, but this is his article today, and it's about the Justice League fallout. What happened at WB? What is DC's future? What did WB learn? He had this huge article. I encourage you to read it. It is a great read. It is very interesting, but very bothersome as well, especially if you're a fan of the DC universe and if you're a fan of what Justice League could have been, or even a fan of what Justice League is now. So in this subheadline, he says, "A studio at peace with a dud." He says this: in the lead up to Justice League, he was one of the reporters who was sounding the alarm and warning people about what was coming down the pike. He may have been the one who broke the story about Warner Brothers was going to extensively overhaul the film, but also tried to warn people via the L Fanboy podcast that the studio knew they had a problematic film on their hands, and rather than delay it into 2018, which they easily could have done since there isn't another DC film until Aquaman hits in December, they were just going to dump this thing into theaters just to get it over with. Why? Because they felt whether it was the Snyder Cut or their cut, the film was going to be a sore spot for the DC universe. That's why they allowed a film with half-baked CG to go into wide release. That's why they didn't bother having Ciarán Hinds return for substantial reshoots to beef up Steppenwolf's plot, despite the fact that he really needed more substance now that he was no longer building towards Darkseid. That's why you didn't see Jeff Johns out there campaigning for the film the way he had with Wonder Woman. It's also why Joss Whedon never ever went out of his way to publicly associate himself with the film, and why the studio reciprocated by not making a bigger deal that the director of The Avengers had a hand in creating the final cut, something that may have been a decent selling point to get MCU fans to cross over and check out DC's latest. He remembers speaking to an insider in the weeks following Justice League's release and them saying they expected this. While they conceded the fallout was perhaps a bit worse than anticipated, they knew that this thing was going to be a bump in the road. The studio just didn't want to spend another dime on the film, considering all the effort that had gone into it already. They wanted to simply get it out there, get it over with, and move on to the next phase of DCU films, which would act as a distinct course correction. It's the only justification for why it wasn't delayed, the only explanation, because no studio that's confident in a project trots out a film where the first thing you see is Henry Cavill's lip in that firefighter scene. So that's just one of the highlights I'm talking about. The first highlight I want to talk about. Now, it makes some kind of sense that they were just going to release it because you see the product that they have. Instead of delaying it, we all know the story. The Wrap put out, or was it Deadline? I forget who, but they put out that Kevin Sugihara wanted his bonus, so that he wanted to push it out in 2017. Him and Toby Emmerich push it out in 2017 so they would get their bonus because of the Time Warner deal, blah, AT&T, blah blah blah. Right? So, but this is what really confuses me, and it doesn't make sense, because this line, because they felt whether it was the Snyder Cut or their cut, the film was going to be a sore spot for the DC universe. And then it says that they don't want to spend another dime on the film. Then why even do the Whedon cut? Why even reshoot it at that point? If it's true, that if this is true, that they didn't care, then release the Snyder Cut. Just release that one out. Just work on that, or even not work on it. And if you actually gave up on it, why plot more money into it? Why get another director involved? Why all that just to release it later half-baked? Right? I mean, that doesn't make sense. That part of the article just does not make sense to me, and I don't know what to think about that. But he also goes on to say that Warner Brothers think Justice League stumbled out of the gate because of Batman v Superman, not because of the movie itself. There is some things that make sense on this. Because one, the movie didn't make over $100 million opening weekend, like what people have expected, 100, 120. And usually when it's the opening, that means people are already excited to go out of there because they were excited because of the past films, excited because of Wonder Woman, or excited because of Batman v Superman. Everybody knew Justice League was the sequel to Batman v Superman. So I can see that, where if people didn't like BVS, they're not going to go back to watch the sequel, right? But when Justice League came out, more and more people found out that this is not the sequel to Batman v Superman. So the people who went to watch it or were going to go back and watch it. So it's like a double-edged sword. So I can see that. I can see what they did there. The question is whether if they have left it as a Snyder Cut, would it have made more money than what it is now? You know, that's the question. And I think we should really look into that coming out. We'll see. Maybe the answer is within the DVD, Blu-ray, digital sales. We won't know. I won't know for sure. But they go on, okay? They go on. So this is a long, long article. So they already told us what was coming, and they were sticking to it. So they were going to let this go. They're just going to say, done, it's over. We don't know. We're not panicking. So this is what he says. That's why, all things considered, no one at Warner Brothers DC Entertainment is actually panicking about Justice League's performance. In an odd way, they're fine with it, considering the new regime. Jeff Johns, John Berg, Diane Nelson essentially inherited this problematic film, and the newer regime, Johns, Walter Hamada, Nelson, was already intent on pushing forth in a new direction anyway. The fact that Justice League could very well break even once it arrives on home video means they kind of got away with it, and that's why their future should really come as no surprise, because they've already stuck to their plan, right? So a lot of people are asking, what are they going to do? What are they going to do now? Well, apparently nearly 2 months before Justice League come out, Jeff Johns and Diane Nelson had told Vulture what they were going to do. To recap, they were going to loosen the connectivity of their shared universe. Now, this is before Justice League came out. Emphasize stories that can stand on their own the same way Wonder Woman did, while still maintaining that it is a shared universe. Go back to being a filmmaker-driven, giving each director ample creative freedom to explore their legendary characters as they see fit. Rebrand the DCU as being a place for heart, humor, and heroics. And we all know it's going there now. Okay, we've got Shazam coming out. They're talking about, oh, there's got heart in it, heroics, it's going to have some humor in it. Fine. Aquaman, that's already done. We don't know how much of that is affected. Wonder Woman 2, that's going to be a different film than what Wonder Woman 1 was, and Patty Jenkins could explore that. So it's already going to be not a shared universe per se, but it's like origin films, also sub films, but they're not like, there's not an overarching story, you know what I mean? So there's not going to be an overarching story. They're just, each hero is going to do their own thing in their own time, in their own world, and then maybe later on they'll come together again. But we already kind of knew that. But it's in this article, they're saying they've already done that. They've already planned that in advance. They knew Justice League was going to be a dud. This is what's going to happen. My question is, then why make a big deal after Justice League's release, after how it didn't make as money that they thought it would make, and they got John Berg out? I know they put in that story that John Berg wanted to do something else. You know, they're passing that along. Come on, we know how this works. That is probably not entirely true. Maybe or maybe not. Kevin Tsujihara and Toby Emmerich put out a note talking about how they've made a mistake and they're not going to copy Marvel. And in fact, they're kind of still but they're not going to copy Marvel. We have to have our own identity. We're not going to do that way. So it's very interesting. It's how seeing this, hearing it does make sense, yet there's more questions being asked. You know, there's more questions than I ask and maybe other people ask as well. So it's like we're not getting the full story, but this is something part of the story. At least the source, maybe the source that he's talking to, is more in line of what Warner Brothers is right now, meaning we've already given up on it. We're just gonna, you know, what happened, let's move on to the other movies, let's move on to the rest of the DCU, let's rebuild. So our story now is that we're done. We're done with it. There's no regrets. Snyder's DC is dead. Warner Brothers is burying it. These are quotes directly from this article, yet this person is actually very still optimistic. Okay, he's still optimistic about DCU's future, and he thinks we should be as well. He says this. He says that what did they learn from all this? Now, Warner Brothers, he believes that they learned to be mindful who you entrust these Holy Grail characters to. Don't announce a slate of films and then work backwards from there, since the slate they announced in 2014 really amounted to a bunch wishful thinking. Give the directors, writers the time needed to create truly great films, instead of piling deadlines on top of deadlines like they did by scheduling Justice League to start filming a mere 3 weeks after BVS came out. The fact that Wonder Woman was made in a way where none of it hinged directly on what was going on in BVS and Justice League gave Jenkins and her team tons of space with which to create something special. You can't simply mish-mash a bunch of well-known characters together and expect Avengers dollars. Keep the budgets reasonable, something Walter Hamada is good at, seeing at how he comes from the horror genre where they know how to get a lot out of little. Wonder Woman only cost $149 million to make, and it's their most profitable film by far. Now, the budget thing, I understand. I totally agree with that. Putting Walter Hamada on, who looks like he has a history of using low budgets with greater gross profits out of them, a greater reward out of them, I totally understand that. And a lot of these other things we kind of come to expect, but it's very frustrating to know this. I mean, it's very frustrating to know if this is true, that Justice League, they've given up on it. What does that mean? Exactly. That means we're not going to get the Snyder Cut. The question now, and I need everyone to understand, the question is not if the cut exists. It exists. It's just if it's going to be released. The question is if it's going to be released. It does exist. If it didn't exist, then there was nothing to change. There wouldn't be a Whedon cut if a Snyder Cut did not exist, right? That's the deal. If it wasn't a Whedon thing from the beginning, the execs watched an entire film early 2017. That's the Snyder Cut, and they decided to change it. Okay, so enough that it does exist. The question now, if it's going to be released. If this article is true, and they did not care, and they're not caring now, they're writing this off. They're letting the marketing go as like a standard marketing. They're not going to really promote this. It's a standard promoting strategy. It's a standard Blu-ray release strategy. They're not going to even release deleted scenes because they don't want you to know what happened in those scenes. They don't want you to know behind the scenes. We don't want you to see any more than we want you to see. And they've changed this in a way that it fits their humor, their heroics, all the hope. They're changed it already, and just to be in line with the future movies. If this is true, then we'll no longer see the Snyder Cut. We'll no longer see what Zack Snyder actually did. And it's probably one of the main reasons why Zack Snyder is passively liking some of these posts about the Snyder Cut exists. His son passively talking about it. The cinematographer, all these people, different people, are saying things about it, but they cannot openly say it because this is the Warner Brothers way, this is the Warner Brothers vision, and this is the Warner Brothers route. we are going to see this vision continue on if this story is true. And I hope it's not entirely true. I get the movie's coming out, but I feel that Zack Snyder deserves to release the cut that he made, the cut that he worked on. That's my own opinion, and I hope it eventually comes true. And I hope a lot of people who said that something will come up after the first Blu-ray release so they can double dip on it. I really do. But that's for that. So please, I'm going to put this article link in the description below. Mario Francisco Robels made a great article, and I think everybody should, if you're interested, please read this article. Now, moving on. Now, we know about the whole Black Panther challenge, and there is something that went out. Okay, it's over now, I believe. There was a Facebook fan post that was trying to gather people to go and downvote the Black Panther on Rotten Tomato score. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say that happened. I won't link anything. I don't want to give that terrible thing, crazy, dumb, and very silly thing any more time of the day, because I want to move on to something that's very positive, and that's the Black Panther Challenge. The Black Panther Challenge is an initiative launched by Frederick Joseph to raise money to take Harlem children to see Black Panther in theaters. He has opened the call for others nationwide to join in and start a GoFundMe in their community to take more kids to watch Black Panther in the theater. New York natives Shiraz Ferrucci and Zayan Ferrucci, I hope I said your last name correct, collaborate with Frederick's mission to raise money for the middle school kids in Bronx, New York to see Black Panther in theaters. Lifelong fans of superheroes brothers Shiraz and Zayan know the impact these heroes can bring to children of all ages. Black Panther is an event unlike any other that gives people of color, most importantly children of color, as chance to see themselves as the main hero. Using their platform of comic book debate, Shiraz asked for everyone to help pitch in and take a great group of kids to see this monumental film. Black Panther is an event where DC and Marvel fans lines don't apply. Everyone can get behind this initiative and do something special for these kids. While we are DC fans at heart, Comic Book Debate is an all-in on fundraising for this monumental film. To date, nearly 100 campaigns around the nation have raised over $100,000, helping thousands of kids see the movie next month. Donations have come in from all 50 states and 15 countries around the world. Donate to bring their mission to take over 300 middle school kids in Bronx, New York to see Black Panther. And there is a link there for GoFundMe. I'll also link that in my comments below. GoFundMe for Black Panther Challenge. This is arranged by Shiraz Ferrucci, huge DC fan, is raised over $2,700 so far, and I will donate to this as well. I don't have much to donate, but I think with about 20 bucks I could probably take maybe 2 kids can actually watch the movie. So that's gonna be my donation to this. I encourage you, if you have any money to spare, anything would help, even $1, that'd be great. So there's my contribution, and hopefully with this video more will be aware of this. So take a look at that. GoFundMe Black Panther Challenge. It doesn't matter if you're a DC fan, it doesn't matter if you're a Marvel fan. This is a superhero movie, and a very important one. Alright guys, what did you guys think about that Revenge of the Fans report on Justice League? Do you agree to it? Do you have your own context, or maybe you even have a source to go along with that? So let me know down below about that. Also, the fundraiser GoFundMe, what do you think about Black Panther Challenge? I hope you're there to support as well. And let's hope that a lot of these kids will be able to go and watch Black Panther in the movie theaters along with us. Alright guys, thank you so much for subscribing, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.